What we're going to do today. So I had done a session about 6 weeks ago, I think, with the food and beverage folks, and it was really just an entry point into, hey, what is Amazon? How does it kind of work, et cetera? And really, is it an opportunity? But very, very high level stuff. And so what we're going to be doing today is diving a bit more into the weeds on this. And really what I want to go through is, what does selling on Amazon look like? How can we deal with profitability as a first point of entry? And after the first session, I had spent some time with a number of the folks who attended to look at profitability for their business. And there were some where I'm like, yeah, this could work. And there were some where I'm like, you know what? Probably not your next channel in terms of opportunity for you. And that's the way I like to operate. I want to make sure you guys have the right information so that you can do what you need to do for your business. We'll dive into, what are some of the good listings that we can look at, and there's lots of things that you see on Amazon, and as a consumer, you may not realize how things are being presented to you, and different A/B testing that they're doing on each of us all the time to get data. So we'll go through that. Talk about some of the advertising aspects that are available to you, and how not to lose all your money on Amazon from an ads perspective. We'll go through some digital funneling and some of the things that have really changed the game on Amazon in 2024. And then lastly, we'll talk about logistics on Amazon, because there are some ways to use it for sending product to customers rather than just selling to customers through Amazon. And I've had some good success with that with a number of clients as we try to dive into it. Okay, so I'm going to present and share and all that fun stuff so we can get this going. One, share screen, that one, share. Okay, so thumbs up, Dwayne, we could see the screen, good stuff. Okay, alrighty, so as mentioned, Don Thompson. So yes, I used to work for Amazon, worked for them a while back, also worked for another number of other tech companies. But the whole point of what I've been doing since I came back to Canada is helping folks use Amazon as a channel for their business. And I started doing this, pre-pandemic, pandemic hit, and everyone I helped knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who needed help. And I've scaled the team up to, we have now 16 full-time staff on this, running products all over the world. Our main focus is working, I'm in Canada, working with Canadian brands and getting them into the game. We usually start with Canada as a first point of entry. And the reason for that is it's less competitive, less money is required to get going, and then draft our way down into the States, where it's obviously a much bigger market. I have clients where we do stuff overseas as well, Australia, Japan, UK, European Union, et cetera. There's just different taxation requirements, which is usually a pretty tough putt for a lot of the brands that we work with, but certainly opportunities there as well. Okay, you can follow and all that fun stuff. I have a lady who helps me with marketing, and she's getting me to do a lot more talking and such. So there is some content there that can help. Okay, and if you have any questions about this afterwards, feel free to reach out. If you have questions during, just raise your hand. If I don't notice you, like Dwayne, interrupt, and I'll be happy to take the question. Okay. So as discussed, we're going to go through profitability. I always start with profit because Amazon can be a channel as a marketing channel, but most people want profit. And if we're going to go after profit, we have to make sure we know our numbers. We're going to dive into that, and I'll show you some examples of what that looks like. Plus the listings and advertising and the funneling piece that we need to do, and that logistics piece, which can be a real big opportunity because you can ship all across Canada for typically a lot less than dealing with Canada Post or UPS or any of these other shipping services that you may be trying to get from the East Coast out to BC. You can do that shipment typically a lot cheaper with Amazon. Okay, so we're going to talk about profitability first. And I always start with profitability because at the end of the day, unless you're a not-for-profit, this is kind of what we want to be doing. So I've included, and you'll all get a copy of the deck but I have included this Amazon revenue calculator. And so for those of us who were at the first session, not all of you were there, this was also included there as well. And what this allows us to do, because Amazon changes the rules all the time on, fuel surcharges, no fuel surcharges, they change fee structures and such, and it's always, little changes, okay? And it's like, how do you take something that's square and round off all the edges on this thing? That's what Amazon is doing. And so we have to make sure that we know how much things are costing and how Amazon's changes to their fee structure are going to affect our profitability. So I used to have a spreadsheet that I was tracking all the profitability calculations and such. It got too complicated. Amazon kept changing the game, and so I used their Amazon revenue calculator. Okay, and so this revenue calculator, put over here, allows us to check based upon defining your product for the channel that you're going into. Okay, so this is the North American calculator. If we went to the UK or DE, we'd see all the European locations as well. Okay, but what it allows us to do is dive into sizes, weights, and categories to see how much Amazon's going to take. Now, there's lots of different categories here. Most of you, most likely, will be in a grocery category. However, there's also health and personal care. And I know there was a few people that I spoke to who had some fertilizer type products and the like. And so there's different categories. At the end of the day, it's roughly 15% that Amazon is going to charge you as a referral fee. Grocery goods under $20 Canadian have an 8% referral fee. And there's some things that we'll show you there as well. Okay, but highly, highly recommend that you bookmark this if you're considering Amazon. If you've already created your seller account on there, you have full access to this. This is using just a guest piece so that you can absolutely all go into it yourself if you don't have a seller account yet. Okay, but knowing our numbers really well is one of the most important parts of obviously any business, and certainly with Amazon, because there's lots of different ways that Amazon is going to get paid. And as I mentioned the last session, Amazon's going to take roughly 40 points. Okay, it's pretty typical between the referral fees, their shipping fees, some warehousing fees, and the like. You're going to see about a 40% take rate on that before your ad spend and such. Okay, but what's really important is understanding all the other fees that come into running a channel like this. Okay, so kind of top line here with my horrible graphics, try to show your Amazon referral and fulfillment fees, plus the Amazon advertising fees. On this side, I end up having the raw material costs, my manufacturing costs, any kind of configuration, outbound shipping fees, and any warranty costs that we have to account for. So when we think of the raw materials and manufacturing, this is our co-packing that's going to be going on. And configuration can be, for example, putting multi-packs together here. And so that your co-packer may charge you 50 cents or whatever to put those together. They may charge you 25 cents for a sticker on it. So understanding all those nickels and dimes is critically important, certainly in the price points that we're typically dealing with grocery goods, where we're sub 30 bucks usually with these products. Every nickel counts. Okay, when we get into larger dollar values, sometimes we have a little bit of slack in there, but at the end of the day, it's important to know these numbers. Now, the outbound shipping fee is something to consider if you're making and co-packing your product on the East Coast. You're going to have to ship that product into Amazon's fulfillment center. Amazon is not going to come pick it up and take it. That's a different arrangement we'll talk about with Amazon vendor, but outbound shipping fees is something to consider. So if we're going in Canada, you're going to ship from Halifax, say. It's most likely going to go to Brampton or Ottawa. They're building more hubs around Ottawa, the Ottawa area to really serve the East Coast. But they also have Calgary, which I just had an East Coast client. Their first pallet went to Calgary. And there's really not much we can do about that because Amazon is trying to load up different sections of its network based upon the category you're selling and what they see as sales that have been occurring. So if you're selling, coffee, for example, they may know that On the West Coast, they sell a lot more coffee out there, and so they want it to be closer to the customer to cut down on their shipping fees to get it to the last mile, as well as any other configuration that they may need to do to kind of balance their network. So you ship into a hub like Calgary, Amazon takes it, moves some out to Vancouver, for example. They may move some out to northern Alberta, where there's another fulfillment center, but that's to serve kind of their last mile structure. Okay. Your next pallet that you ship in, or your next small parcel, may go to Brampton. Okay, it may go to Ottawa. It may go to the one they're doing in Quebec now, and I think they're even building a fulfillment center out in Halifax now. And so we'll see some of those load-ins happen. But when we're calculating our outbound shipping fees, what I always recommend is people get costs to ship kind of out to Calgary, a pallet out to Brampton. That'll give you a good kind of understanding of what those costs are going to be so that you can account for that on a per unit basis. Okay. And then warranty costs, I use warranty very loosely. A lot of this can be also return costs that are happening, depending on the category. I have one client where we do leather belts, and people don't necessarily realize the size of their waist. Maybe they had an old belt that was stretched, and they buy the wrong size belt. And so we see a higher return rate on clothing type articles. In the grocery space, the return rate is not as high, but you sometimes have to refund the customer if they didn't like what they bought from you. Okay. So looking at what that would be across your channel, certainly we can look specifically at your category and see what that looks like. But this isn't a huge cost. But again, every nickel adds up here. Okay. Now, on the advertising side of this, Amazon has added a lot of new tools, which we'll talk about and go into more detail for advertising on Amazon. Okay. But there's a ton of advertising off Amazon that we need to consider. So Google Ads, very similar to Amazon in terms of the structure and how they work. Meta ads, very behavioral based, persona based ad sets. And so these are great ways to send traffic to Amazon to convert, and we'll talk about that in a further section. But we have to account for the costs associated with those costs per click and our conversion rates and like. We also have to look at content creation, and of course, you're going to be using this content across a number of different channels, so you can't necessarily burden it all on Amazon, but we definitely want to make sure that we have content that's available so that we can use it on Amazon to kind of showcase the brand, but also provide continuity between your social channels that you have, whether that's Instagram or TikTok, which are the two most likely at this point in time, and the Amazon experience when we've put people and funneled them over to the site. We have to account for social media management. And so if you have some sort of cost associated with that, if some people have co-op students who are maybe doing this for them, some people have agencies that are running this for them. And so if there's any additional fees, we want to make sure we've accounted for that inside the system to an Amazon, GL or what have you that you may have. And then social influencers, which I love and hate. Okay. Everyone thinks that they're a social influencer. And I'll tell you do get what you pay for. I've had some clients go and spend $50 on a video from someone, and honestly, not great quality. And so we'll talk about some of the costs associated with social influencers and really how to approach that. And there's a lot of different platforms for this to try to help you manage it. But at the end of the day, honestly, what I've seen with social influencers is you definitely get what you pay for. If somebody's just going to do it for free product, that's okay, but just temper your expectations in terms of what you're going to get. It's not a Kardashian, okay? We're not dealing with that level here, okay? So when we're looking at profitability, we want to make sure we're accounting for what I call kind of hard costs, and then your more soft costs, where this is a variable cost that we can account for, but this is, hey, if I'm making a product, I have these things that are part of that product, okay? Now, what I did here is put together a bit of a waterfall of profitability. And I just picked a random product. I looked for oats. Not a client of mine, but I thought it'd be an appropriate category to look at. And a couple things that we see is selling multi-packs is the way to go in a lot of categories. There's always tension in terms of the cost of the multi-pack for a consumer and whether or not they will actually invest $35 in this product if they've never tried it before. Okay, but we'll go through a couple examples of a 2 and a 1 pack as well, so you can see how the economics work. What I've done is I have assumed a cost of goods of $2.50 per pouch. And that may be a bit on the low side, honestly, but I just wanted to use some numbers that were relatively easy math for me here. $34.99. You have Amazon's referral fee of 15%. You then have their fulfillment costs. Okay, and this fulfillment cost is from that revenue calculator, and this is based upon X, Y, Z, and massive product. The reason they use X, Y, Z, the size of it, is because if I'm shipping a case of feathers, you pay for the size it takes up, not for the mass that it has. Okay, and so for something like this, you know, it's not that heavy, even though oats are somewhat heavy, but this isn't that heavy that they're actually paying more for the volume it's taking up rather than the size. And so we have to account for those differentials in products like this. Okay, if you have, you know, a heavy glass candle, you're paying for the mass, and that's it. And then you have to account for some additional maybe configuration of bubble wrapping and the like that would be needed for glass products. Now, one of the things that Amazon leaves blank are the miscellaneous costs, which I account for as advertising costs, and then the cost of goods sold, which of course they don't know. So right now, with the fees alone, I've got $12 of costs per unit before I put any cost of goods in here. When I add my cost of goods, and again, I chose $7.50 for 3 packs, maybe a bit on the light side, but it's a number. And it shows us now our net profitability is 44%. I'm like, wow, that's awesome, right? When I add in a advertising fee, and the budget that I use for accounts that we're going to manage is 20%, okay? And the reason I use 20% is it gives us flexibility and room if we can afford 20% and still make money. I have some accounts where it's 5%. That's all we got, make it work, and we can. But as we're going through and budgeting to see how Amazon may be a channel for you and looking at profitability for the configuration, using 20% gets me $7. I've got 24% net margin afterwards. If, again, this is my true cost of goods, that to me is a good product to sell. Okay, so when you're thinking about bringing these products to market, you want to make sure you're looking at all the different costs associated with it. So I took the 1 pack that they have on their Shopify site. They sell it for $12.99 on their Shopify site, which to me feels like a good price point. At $12.99 with Amazon, they're making 55 cents profit per unit. Okay, assuming again my $2.50 cost of goods and a 20% at cost. Okay, now this is not great margin, obviously, but strategically, this may make sense for you because I may not be able to convince customers to give me $35 if they've never experienced my brand, but I sure as heck can convince them to spend $12.99 on a product, which is a very shelf-ready, good product that we can use. Okay, so when we're looking at it, a couple things to notice. My fee structure is only 8% because it's a grocery good under $20. My fulfillment cost is $6.36, right? My fulfillment cost is $6.73 for 3-pack. So I'm really only paying 40 cents extra to ship 2 more units of that much more volume. So this is a great way, what I call like kind of hack the system, is the multi-packs are going to allow you for 40 more cents to sell 3 times the basket size, okay? But we also have to make sure, again, the customer journey is good in that they would pay and buy 3 units all at once from us. Now, what this page did is they did a 2-pack, okay? So they have a 2-pack, a 3-pack, and then it looks like a giant 1-pack, okay? So they couldn't get to a 1-pack size, but they're doing a 2-pack. you look at notice $32.99 for 2 or $34.99 for 3, right? I don't do math that well, I guess, but I'm thinking I'm doing the 3-pack. So what they've done is they've said, hey, for me to get my net margins, for my cost of goods, for all the things, $6.36. Again, $6.36, same price to ship 1 or 2 in this case, 40 cents difference. Okay. So when we're thinking about bringing product like this to market, okay, so much of this is around the configuration and the cost structure that you have for that configuration. Now, some other hacks that we have to look at. I have a textured vegetable protein product here. So if I pack my pack out like this, that's bad. The reason is because it takes up more space. This is light. And so if I have a pack out that is configured as such, I'm going to spend money on the dimensional weight of this thing because it takes up all that space. Simple change. We just saved 75 cents. Okay. So those configurations, pack out configurations, all those instructions are critically important when you're dealing with your co-packer to get this to show up and save you the most money in the Amazon fee structure. Okay. So put it together, cellophane wrap, sticker on it. This is now a unique product for Amazon. Now, a lot of questions that I get when it comes to configuration is, will Amazon do this for me? And the answer is no. Okay. If they have to pick 2 separate things and ship them to a customer, even if they're in the same box, they're going to charge you $6.36 per unit, $6.36 per unit. So you have to have, as part of your cost structure, as part of your configuration structure, the plan to have your co-packer do this, wrap it, put a sticker on it. Okay. Other things to watch for when we're doing the configuration is, if Amazon can scan a barcode, assume they will mess up and scan that barcode. So when I talk to people about this configuration, I always tell them, hide the barcode, because I only want Amazon to have one barcode that they can possibly scan. So you wrap it, scan it, and at the end of the day, the only barcode they can possibly scan is the one that I gave them in front of their face. Okay? Because if it can be messed up, it will be messed up. And then the work required to untangle that, and et cetera, is not fun for anybody. And so really thinking this whole thing through with pack-out configuration, pack-out instructions, and the like, that your co-packer will need. Okay. So the pack-out configuration, profitability, the tools are all in here. You can look at this afterwards to kind of go through Canada, your sizes, weights. They do English inches and centimeters, of course. Mass. This is the ship-in charge. I usually just put 0 and then figure it out later as I'm looking at the pure profitability of that specific unit. Okay. Boom. So from a profitability perspective, if anyone has been selling on Amazon already, I would do a double click on that just to make sure that you are, kind of not paying for any extra, air that Amazon is shipping rather than the mass that they're doing. Okay. Okay. So after profitability, there's no point going into good listings and all that other stuff if you don't have profitability. So that's why I start with profit. When we look at good listings, I wanted to pick, again, all my Magic Oats folks. Again, I don't know these people. I've included a link to their page. I have no idea if the product's any good, but I thought the page was good. And so a couple things that we see. This page tells me a lot about the product. Now, the title is the most important part of Amazon, bar none. Okay. The title is what has the most SEO in it for Amazon from a search perspective. It's also the first thing customers see on the search page. So your title is instrumental in terms of your driving your conversion. Having good keywords, unsweetened oat milk powder, vegan coffee creamer, non-dairy, dairy-free, those are all keywords. And so this is going to show up organically for those keywords based upon search, click, buy. Okay. Now, they also have a storefront linked, which we'll look at a storefront and what that means. But the storefront is what I call your store within a store. It is the only part on Amazon that is not plastered with other people's ads. So having a storefront is an incredibly important part for any of the sellers. And I always recommend you trademark your brand, you load that trademark with Amazon to then have access to these types of things like the storefront. Because it is a great landing page opportunity when you're sending external traffic. But even if you don't send external traffic, it's a spot that you own and can tell your story. Number of ratings, 54 ratings. I feel pretty good about that. My usual rule is 15. I want 15 ratings on a product before I turn ads on that are not branded ads, right? So I would run ads, for example, for Magic Oats. If somebody's searching Amazon for Magic Oats, they're going to find me. I'm going to block out other competitors that may be bidding on oats. But before I go after other things around the funnel, I want to have at least 15 ratings. Okay, so I feel good about that.
Quick question, Don,
Yeah.
that came in from Daryl, wondering if Amazon verifies any of the claims that are made on supplier packaging. So, like such as the lactose, nut-free.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to, I'll talk dietary supplements first, because there's a clear Health Canada guidelines and all that fun stuff. And so if you have a dietary supplement with an NPN, natural product number, you have to stick to the claims that are on your NPN for your listing page, okay? When it comes to dairy-free, gluten-free, and the like, Amazon will ask for verification on those, which are the certifications that you would have, okay? Some of them have certifications, and obviously some of them do not. And so it is still a bit of a Wild West when it comes to some of the claims that you'll see. I would absolutely recommend before you put anything on your package that you have a certification for it. And I'll give you an example. I had a client who, unfortunately, she had put the kosher symbol on her package, and then found out she's not kosher. That was a very, very expensive day for her. Okay. Thankfully, it wasn't my fault, but we helped her kind of navigate how to deal with that. So they may not stop it that day when you list it, but it usually happens at 4 o'clock on a Friday when you're trying to get to the cottage in the summer. So it's one of those things that you definitely want to make sure you have the certifications for. Okay. Now, one thing to note here, everyone asks about strike-through pricing. How do I do it? The way you do strike-through pricing is it has to be lower than the last 30-day average. Okay. And for those of you who remember Sears and everything was always on sale every darn weekend, it's because we want to make sure that customers are not being manipulated in terms of the cost and savings that they'd have. And so Amazon uses a 30-day rolling average before they'll give you a strike-through price. Okay. Okay. Next, customer configurations. So this is what's called a parent-child relationship. The parent is what I call an empty vessel, like most of us parents. And then the children have all the information in them. So they have created a parent page, which has a 2-pack, a 3-pack, and then the big 560 gram pack of one, to give customers choice. They drive people to one page. Customers can navigate across to see how and what they like, price points, etc. Obviously, in this case, well, unless they really like the oats, well, even that's cheaper for a 3-pack. So their pricing's not done, hasn't been done great here. But at the end of the day, they have this 3-pack, which seems to be a very attractive price. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see lots of good images. So they're using all the image slots, plus they have videos. Okay, so bonus for videos, you can get some telemetry on customers actually viewing the videos and how long they watch them through, etc. I like to have it because it gives Amazon more data, and Amazon is a data machine. That's what it wants. It wants data, and so we're going to give it to them. And then we can use this video content in other ways, like through video ads. We can use it on storefront pages, etc., to really build out a richer experience for people. Okay. Now, one thing I don't like, it's the 4-star rule. Okay. So Amazon has it's 0 or 1. If you're under 4 stars, you're not a good product. If you're over 4 stars, you're a fantastic product. So even though the stars show 4, which is nice, when people get here, it's 3.9, and it will influence their buying decision. So, most of us go, hey, the reviews are all fake or whatever. It still influences our decision making in terms of when we buy things. And so with 54 ratings, getting that up to 4 stars so that it shows 4 here probably takes 5 or 10 reviews that have to come through, and we can navigate and manage that through some various absolute terms of service tools that we have. Right? Now, when we look at the title being the most important thing, and I've included a title style guide because each category has different rules. For most of your products, you have 200 characters, okay? So 200 characters gives you, it includes spaces, this whole list all the way from front to tail, okay? And that 200 characters is there for you to get the most important value proposition and the most important keyword searches that people type, okay? There are tools to look that stuff up. One of them is called Helium 10. That's the one I use. I've also used Jungle Scout. It's the other kind of premium tool. There's lots of other ones out there, but those are the two kind of big gorillas in the marketplace. And so I'd recommend stick to what's known. Now, some categories are limited to 80, some are limited to 150. That's why I included the title style guides. And so, for the belt category, for whatever reason, I've got to keep it under 150, right? So just know for your category, there may be some rules, but mostly you'll probably be 200 characters. Now, the most important part of the most important thing is the first 80 characters, okay? When you search on mobile, you see the first 80 characters. And so if I'm on my phone, which more and more people are doing shopping on Amazon with, that first 80 characters has to be your most important USP, your unique selling proposition. And so getting that into the front, that's the most important piece. And so a lot of people want to put their brand in the front. If your brand isn't well known yet, you may want to put original unsweetened oat milk powder by Magic Oats, because that gets the first 80 characters, guaranteed to be that most important USP. Okay, so there's some different things we can do here to restructure to make sure that customers, when they search on Amazon mobile, they're going to find what they're looking for. And then lastly, there are some things with the title that you have to be very careful with because they'll just suppress you. And if you're not paying attention, you may not even notice. And that could be, again, a bad thing, especially over a weekend. So things like bestseller, on sale, limited time, all those things will end up having your page suppressed because Amazon doesn't want it to be communicated in that way, okay? Bestseller, they will give you a badge if you're a bestseller on Amazon. just because it's your bestseller of your assortment, Amazon doesn't care. Okay. So avoid words like that. Avoid exclamation marks and avoid like all caps. You can't have little question marks, asterisks. So there's a bunch of stuff there that you just can't include in the title because they want to try to keep it somewhat clean, which is also why they're trying to force different title structures on us as we're trying to sell. Okay. But the product detail page title is by and far the most important thing. Okay. The images, rich content, some videos, but tell that story and get found. Okay. Now, the other part, I picked a different product because I didn't quite like their bullets that they had. So this is a different product. It's a prebiotic soda product. Again, similar to food, beverage, etc. Parents and children, organized. What we have is the bullets. And the bullets, candidly, very few people read. If anything, they read the first bullet and then they move on to images and such, especially if they're on their phone, right? So the bullets are really the way that we get more SEO on the page. We're showing for additional keywords, we're trying to solve problems, but also capture keywords that are coming through. But what we have here is delicious and refreshing, sparkling healthy soda, no caffeine, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives. We tell them what we're going to tell them. We then tell them. Okay. And it's a common structure when it comes to presentations and it comes to bullet writing. I'm going to give them an expectation of what they're going to read. They may not read on, but here they're getting what they want to get. They scan it, they scan it, they scan it, they scan it. Okay. You want to try to keep your bullets to around 250. You have 500, but when you get 500 characters per bullet, it gets pretty blocky, takes up a lot of space. And again, on mobile, you're scrolling a lot. People don't do that. Next, you can go to 350, right? Some of these are a bit long, okay? But at the end of the day, it's okay. And then you have 5 bullets for a page. Some categories give you a bit more, but you have 5 bullets. Make sure you use them all. And, there's a structure that I usually use where the last bullet, again, in order of importance, okay? The last bullet may be something around, I don't know, say the environment's not important, but the environmental responsibility side isn't why they're going to buy the product. It may help them make the decision, but it's not the primary value proposition. Okay. Some products we have female-founded businesses. Sometimes we have, again, their give back campaigns that they may do. And none of those are going to necessarily have them buy a product, but it's going to help them close the deal. Okay. And that's where I usually like to use that last bullet, whereas the first bullet is typically the thing that you're trying to get them to buy. Okay. So think about when you're doing your detail pages, parents and children, this drives everyone to one page. I've got 5 different flavors on here, just like the milk oat powder there. A couple different configurations, whatever makes sense for your business. I think some of you had like some coffee, some of you have like a puree, and different configurations, different flavors and such. The good news is none of this is a one-way door. So today, I could have this set up as this. Tomorrow, I could take all the children out of the parent and set them up as their own pages, right? And it's very easy to do that. So you can make those changes, test, measure, learn, and determine if it's driving better conversion, better profitability for you. Now, there's other content on this page that we want to look at. One is the A+. So the A+ is the rich content down below. This is reserved for brand registered sellers and allows you to tell more of your story. If people aren't reading the bullets, which not a lot of people read, again, we all have the attention span of a goldfish. So we want images, okay? We want simple, convenient, 100% customizable, travel friendly, right? Like give me the high points to help me make my decision. How does it compare with other things? How do I use it? All things that affect the customer journey for this product. Your product's going to be different, okay? But at the end of the day, you have these modules that you can use to tell your story Amazon's data says having A+ content will increase your conversion rate by 3 to 5%. Okay, 3 to 5, not 35. Those changes are going to help. And in a couple of ways, it helps obviously with customers on their journey. But again, the more data we give Amazon, the more they like us, the more they boost us, the more they get us seen organically, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so give it the data it needs. Doesn't cost you anything really. You're going to have these assets kicking most likely for other things, whether it be website, they can be repurposed. Definitely use it. And then the storefront. So I just showed kind of one little snapshot of the storefront, but this is their store within a store. It allows them to tell their story, show all their products. These are different tabs you can click through on that page. This is what I call like a mini Shopify site. Okay, people can buy directly through the store, not have to even navigate out, add it to their cart, move on with their day. But the store is a powerful way for you to tell your story. Amazon is not a good way to educate customers on the why of buying. People are there to buy, not to learn. Okay, they go to Google to find out questions and such. They go to your website where they may learn about things. End of the day, they come to Amazon to buy. Okay, and so if we have to educate them, the only tool that I really have available to me from an education perspective is the storefront. And that's where I drive traffic to and kind of funnel people through. Right. And so I've included the Premium A+ guidelines, as well as a link to a storefront. All this stuff you can capture from the actual detail page link. So you can take a look at it afterwards and see how this can help you tell more of your story on Amazon. Okay. Now, advertising. I want to, so since the pandemic, Amazon has become a pay-to-play platform, okay? Pre-pandemic, you could get by without spending dollars really on Amazon for ads. You still had clients do it, but it wasn't as monumentally important, okay? If we're going to be on Amazon today, and I just did a search for this oats, this is an ad, that's an ad, that's an ad, that's an ad, that's an ad, okay? One thing people don't know how to do on Amazon is scroll or go to page 2. Oh, there's my thumb up. Okay. So what we want to make sure is that we are bidding effectively for our brand in these areas. Okay. And there's a number of different tools that we have available to us in order to do so. So we even have video ads, right? So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a video ad for this barista oat milk, I guess. So when we're doing ads on Amazon, we have 4 different types of ads, but then there's subsets underneath each of these. And so if you don't register your brand on Amazon, which I absolutely recommend you do, but if you haven't got the trademark yet or registered it, the sponsored product tool here is the one that you will have access to. All these other ones will be kind of grayed out, okay? Or they'll try to get you to register your brand. To register your brand doesn't cost anything on Amazon, but they want brands. Now, the sponsored product makes up roughly 70% of all placements. Okay, so all of these sponsored product, sponsored product, sponsored product, sponsored product. Okay, this is sponsored brand, this is sponsored brand video. So when we look at this, for the brand registered sellers, I have access to the sponsored brand piece, that top of search, the video slots, richer content on other detail pages as well, where I'd advertise against their products. Sponsored display is another tool that allows you to target some of the personas, some of the categories. You can also run direct targeting ads on people's pages. The most dangerous one is the sponsored TV, okay? I do not recommend using sponsored TV ads at this point in time unless you're spending $50K a month on ads in general and getting good return on ad spend, okay? And the reason I say that is the sponsored TV slot used to only be available if you were paying 10K a month specifically for that. Okay. They've opened it up now that anyone can put $100 in and give it a go, but it is so far up the funnel that for most people, certainly that'd be working with for kind of early stage into Amazon. Don't go near it. If you want to burn $100, give it to me. Don't give it to Amazon. They don't need your $100. Okay. So it's so far up the funnel. I just don't think it's worthwhile. So just ignore that completely. Now, when we talk about the funnel, we all know marketing funnel, awareness, consideration, conversion, and then loyalty and advocacy. And what's important to realize is Amazon has different tools based upon where in the funnel you're targeting. So auto campaigns, sponsored product targeting, the sponsored TV placement I mentioned, are all up funnel category targeting. So I can go after products that are similar to mine, a close match. I can try to hit some demographics when it comes to the sponsored TV placements. But at the end of the day, I'm putting billboards, on the side of bus stations to try to get people to see my brand. That's what this typically is. Okay. There may be some data out of here that works where I get a call from, I'm a realtor. I put my face on the side of a bus station. I get a call. Fantastic. That now moves them down to consideration. Okay. This is where we're dealing with more of the sponsored product ads, the brand, the display targeting on competitive brand names where I'm trying to steal a sale. So if somebody searched for Quaker Oats, I want to show my brand of oats on the page and see if I can get someone to consider me, right? Now, there's lots of ways and issues in terms of consideration. Are we available on Prime shipping? Do we have a competitive value proposition, price point? And at the end of the day, if they've never tried my brand before, but they saw Quaker Oats at Sobeys, they're probably going to end up buying the Quaker Oats. But I got them to see it, I got them to click, and I'm getting some data, right? So there's a portion of my budget that should go towards some consideration. When I move further down, I get into conversion funneling. And I use sponsored product brand display targeting. We're using it on our own brand term. So we're blocking out some folks. We're using it cross catalog of our products. So if I have a number of different flavors, then I'm able to take the strawberry and the blueberry, and I can cross promote them on each of their pages. That allows people to see all the things that I have going on. Okay. We also look at high purchase intent keywords, and we'll get that from various ways in which we are doing keyword research and find out that unsweetened oats is a keyword that I perform really well for. We're going to put some more gas on that fire, right? Now, loyalty, there's things called repurchasing campaigns, coupon targeting, subscribe and save. If anyone here, for example, has, I have some subscribe and save things that once every 6 weeks, a bunch of stuff shows up at my door. It comes in, and we don't have to go to the store to buy it ourselves. Okay. There's also new coupon tools that Amazon has that allows us to target people who have purchased from us before, offer them kind of a comeback coupon. So there's lots of great opportunities. And I put that under ads. And the reason I do is because it's all dollars you're spending, right? So whether I spent, $5 to get a customer to buy my product, or I spent $5 to get an existing customer to keep buying from me, it's still budget that had to come out. And so we want to account for it as such. What I always do with Amazon, especially for the budgets that most people have when they're first going on to Amazon, is you want to start from the bottom and move our way up the funnel, okay? There's plenty of opportunity down here for people who, for example, have purchased from your website, but for them to get free shipping from your website, they have to spend $75, okay? Well, if I'm a Prime customer, I get free shipping if I spend $12, right? The environment aside, that's how Amazon works. So I can make that purchase, have your product to me in Victoria, even though you're in Halifax, and it shows up within 2 days, rather than you having to put it all together and a week later, a slow donkey made its way across Canada for us. Okay. So when we look at this idea of moving up the funnel, telling people that we're actually on Amazon, then building some momentum, getting some good reviews, and then moving up the funnel as we go. okay? Now, there's a number of different types of targeting, and I won't go through this in brutal detail, but you'll have a copy of this, which is the broad match, the phrase match, and the exact match, okay? All of these things are similar match types that you may have heard from some of the Google Ads stuff that you may have been involved with, where we're going after similar types of products, exact match targets, where it's like, Crazy D, okay? Crazy D, if somebody searches for that, I know they want mine. Or I could have oats. Oats in a phrase means if oats shows up anywhere in that search term, we have a chance to show up for that, okay? A broad gets a bit nuts. So if I look for oats and I have a broad match, I may end up showing up for bowls that you would eat oats out of, okay? I may show up for kettles that you need to boil water to make oats. Like that's how kind of wide that one goes. So good for mining, but not good for ROAS, your return on ad spend. Okay. Now, external traffic on Amazon. And I'm flying through this because I know we have like 15 minutes, half an hour tops. If there's questions, please stop me. Why do we want to drive traffic on Amazon? Okay. We all know you're going to make way more money if you have people buy from your Shopify. Okay. You're not paying Amazon for their referral fee. You're not paying Amazon for their shipping fee. You got customers who are generally well trained that they have to put at least $50 or $75 into a cart to end up getting free shipping. What I found in terms of working with some of the smaller businesses is the free shipping threshold that they typically set. There's not a whole lot of science behind it, or nor is there a lot of profitability thought through behind it. And so really looking at your profitability for those larger basket sizes is something I'd highly recommend you do to make sure you've got that set properly in a way that you're still making money. Amazon is great to get traffic. And then in the US at least, and this will come to Canada eventually, they will actually pay us 10% of the whole basket sale. So I have one client where we're doing this with. This is just a quick 1 month snapshot. They sold $1,200. They got $130 in brand referral bonus. So this can directly offset the cost of the traffic that came in. Additionally, if someone came in on something for my textured vegetable protein product, but they end up buying a coffee cup, I get a commission on the wholesale, okay? Not just my product. I get a commission on the whole basket. And so there are some interesting ways that you can make money. It's like an affiliate link, if you've heard of that before. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at it as how do I offset the cost of the traffic I'm generating to make that equation even better for us, because we have to account for Amazon's commission of 15%. Again, typically, maybe only 8% if you're under $20 in Canada. Okay. It's under 15 US in the States, so you know. So they want traffic. But additionally, Amazon is going to reward us for the traffic in a lot of ways. So when you make a sale on Amazon, every keyword you have on your page gets ranked up. So if I send traffic to a page, Amazon detects that, hey, off-site, buy, and it goes, oh, this is cool. I like that because we want to be a source for people to go shopping. The likelihood of that customer being a Prime shopper, maybe even buying a Prime membership because they wanted to have the free shipping, all these things are now in play. And Amazon always looks at the long-term horizon on this. They haven't made a nickel in profitability. When you look at it, they've reinvested all that money in. And so when you look at Amazon and their kind of measurement of success, the measurement of success is shipping product to customers. And they will reward you that by moving you up the rankings. Now, what we want to do is create individually unique attribution links. And the reason we do that is you may have, for example, an email marketing campaign. I can now test and measure with data if those customers on that email marketing campaign are actually going to buy my product. Okay, I can measure click-throughs. And if you have MailChimp, for example, you're getting click-throughs and you'll get connected to your Shopify site. But if you ever sent it to Amazon before, you lost sight of all the data. Now you can track it. And it'll give us all the data we need to say, is this something that'll actually work economically for me? We get ROI on these. So we know, for example, if I'm doing a Facebook campaign or an Instagram campaign, I now know whether or not the 20 bucks I sent for that traffic actually came back and was valuable to me. Okay. So when you think about off Amazon traffic, we all know your most profitable sales channel is going to be Shopify or whatever digital e-commerce you're using for your own personal site. But customers who are first-time customers, especially, prefer Amazon's frictionless purchasing behavior. And so I don't have to give you a credit card number. Amazon has my credit card number. I don't have to worry if it's going to show up properly. I know Amazon's going to deliver it. I trust that it's going to happen. And so that first-time customer experience can be really good for Amazon. And then we need to figure out how to get them back to your website, of course. And there's some things we can do with that. Okay. I've included a link here for the Amazon attribution campaign, what it means, how to set it up, all that fun stuff. So it's in there. But at the end of the day, really looking at gathering data when it comes to bringing my funnel, kind of that full funnel flow, into focus. Okay. So when we're trying to launch on Amazon, definitely using off Amazon traffic is going to help us with our launch. We want to use TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever tools you're using to make sure that those followers know you're going to be available on Amazon. Creating, interest and people are curious about what's happening and why, et cetera. But having that engagement with those customers is going to be super important because these are the people who actually care about what you have to say. It may be 100 people, it may be 1,000 people. But if I can get 10% of them to actually come and purchase, that's going to start the machine. Okay, that's the classic cold start problem. Good book if you haven't read it. Okay. If you have an email list, nurture the email list. Make sure they know because those people are also engaged in your journey and what you're doing. Keep them informed, what's happening. And at the end of the day, we can use that email list to then launch coupon codes to those folks to go buy. And we're working with a brand right now where we're doing this. We're putting specific coupon codes to specific people so they can go buy. They're already fans of ours. The likelihood of them giving us a good review is pretty high. If possible, budget for an influencer strategy. Okay, and I say if possible because I know influencers can get expensive, right? It's $100 for a video. I got to give them free product, and then I have to measure and manage to make sure they actually did something that was useful, et cetera. And there are various platforms for that. But at the end of the day, it's still money. Okay. Everyone has, a nephew or a daughter or whoever who thinks they're an influencer. Okay. Those can be helpful, of course, but what we're really looking for is reach. So it depends on how many followers they have. You're looking for those kind of micro nano influencers who are in the kind of 10,000 to 1,000 to 10,000 range. Those are people who are going to have some good engagement as well as be less expensive. Okay. When we're dealing with Kardashians or, Jennifer Aniston or whatever, like different snack bracket. Okay. And then when we're budgeting for a launch, we want to make sure we're budgeting for all of these launch discounts that we're going to provide. So as an example, we have a launch discount targeted to our best customers through our Shopify. They're most likely to leave a review, and they're most likely to leave us a 5-star review. I cannot ask for a 5-star review because if Amazon catches wind of it, they do bad things to our account. It's not worth the risk. But the likelihood of our best customers leaving a 5-star review, pretty high, right? And so we pre-wire that system so that we know that they're going to leave a review and they'll most likely be 5 stars. And realize that Amazon's currency are reviews. It influences the buying decision of everybody, whether we know it or not. That's why I said when we had 53 reviews on that oat product, but it was only 3.9 stars, customers are going to hesitate. So we have to monitor our reviews daily to make sure that there isn't a problem with the product in some way. Some reviews we can get rid of. Okay, so for example, if Amazon ships it and the package broke, okay, customer comes back, package arrived broken, 1 star. You can get rid of that because that's an Amazon fulfillment issue. That's not a product issue. If the customer received a product and it was expired, that's a product issue. That's something that we want to know that, oh, did we have some expired product in there? Do we have to, flush the system of product to send new stock in? Is there something happening that we just weren't careful enough with our inventory planning? And it's happened to the best of us. So we want to make sure that customers are having a good experience with our product. And at the end of the day, most people leave negative reviews. Okay, not a lot of people go to the site to say, oh my God, I loved it, et cetera, et cetera. I wish they do more of that. Okay, most people want to flame out on their keyboard because they're angry with what happened with their experience. Okay, so we have to pay attention to it. And this is a key important thing on Amazon because they care about the reviews. They trust customers more than they trust sellers. They work hard to keep customers. They know there's more sellers. Okay, so very important that we're really paying attention to the review side of things. But this is how you do a successful Amazon launch. This is the playbook, essentially. There's obviously nuances and such that'll be affected by your product and your reach, et cetera. But this is generally a high-level playbook. Okay. Multi-channel fulfillment. Wanted to talk about multi-channel fulfillment for you, and I've again included a link in the upper part here. But multi-channel fulfillment is almost like a secret weapon, and I use it a lot with clients because a lot of clients that I have are inventory poor, meaning every piece of inventory has to turn into cash. It's got to find a home. And if I have 3,000 pieces sitting at Amazon not moving, that means my website or something else doesn't have inventory. That's a bad day. And so we want to use Amazon's multi-channel fulfillment for that. So that if I get an order from my website, your Amazon site, okay, your TikTok store, if you have something in the States going on there, Etsy, you name it, okay, we can now use Amazon to do the fulfillment for all of it. And you connect using a premium app, okay, depends on the platform you have, which we'll go through. But you connect your sites to Amazon through the SKU, the SKU, and better yet, they don't even need to be available for sale on Amazon. And so I have some clients where we actually manage their sample requests through the Amazon stock. And it's like, you'd never be able to sell this because it's like a 100-gram version of this powder, where we normally sell at least in 464. But we have these samples that we want to send out to people who are requesting samples before they make purchases, whether it's a buyer at a store or what have you. What it allows us to do is have one place for inventory that we're moving. Connecting your system, you don't even have to see it. It all drops in and just moves. The pro of this is you get fast shipping across all of Canada with very competitive rates. So, and we'll go through some of the rates in the next slide. But you have this seamless integration with your website, and we use ByteStand for Shopify. It's a premium app, you got to pay for it, but it's not that expensive. And it does reduce your operational overhead for managing a lot of this. And Amazon's added this plain white box now. So it's not going to show up in an Amazon box with a little smiley face on it. It's going to show up in a plain white box. Now, cons, there's no customization allowed. Amazon's not putting glitter or confetti in there or a handwritten note. Again, I know a lot of the locations do that, of course. If you have a 3PL that's doing some of this stuff, Amazon doesn't do that. So if you're looking for that, you got to stick to your 3PL. I'm sure they'll add at some point. You still need to watch your storage fees, because if they're sitting on 180 days of inventory that hasn't turned, they're going to start charging you storage fees for that, and so that can get expensive. Okay, so you got to be careful with the amounts, and you guys got to plan your inventory appropriately. And then lastly, it's not a solution for shipping pallets for wholesale. Okay, so if you're like, hey, can I just store a whole pallet of product there that I'll then ship to well.ca or Sobeys or whatever? No, not the right solution for you. This is all about D2C, going directly to consumers with that. Okay, but from a rate card perspective, this is for standard size non-media. So this is like this, okay, product like that. You're going to pay a minimum $364 to pick it. And the first 500 grams, whether it's 10 grams or 499.9, is $4.93. Okay. If you go 1 gram over to 501, you pay the whole 99 cents extra for that 500 grams. Okay. So we got to be, smart about it and make sure we're sharp on our sizes and weights here. But at the end of the day, you can ship a product. This is a standard like pill bottle product for $8.57 all across Canada in 4 days, right? And that's going to go from your inventory wherever it is in Amazon's network to that customer. And so if you're in Halifax, you've got inventory sitting in Calgary, you get an order from Vancouver, that bottle will ship from Calgary and get to there within 4 days. If it's urgent, and I've had this again, sample requests, so we really want to get something to a potential partner, you can do it in 1 day priority, essentially double your price, but they'll get it there. But I know for me, I live about 45 minutes outside Toronto, and I can't ship something down the street for less than $20. So it's actually a pretty good price for the $8.57, and this has really helped with this one lady in particular, where she was doing all the shipping herself, like kind of out of her garage, get it out, et cetera. I'm like, oh my God, like her life is stressing me out. So let's set this up for you and make that happen. Okay. Then I have another product here, which is just a glass jar. I know a lot of you guys have to use glass for hot fill requirements and what have you. And so this is obviously a heavier product. This is 0.2 pounds versus 1.5 pounds. But even that product itself would ship for $9.56, right? So, and this is based upon where her inventory is and where the address I put in is a 4-day arrival for $9.56, or 2 days, they get it to me for $11.72, right? So you get to pick what you're doing there, right? So what I love about the multi-channel fulfillment is for the entrepreneur who has 1,000 things going on, shipping out parcels to people when you get orders. Hey, great that we got the order, but spending time shipping, running, et cetera, not a great use of time per se, if we have something that's affordable and scalable. And that's what the Amazon multi-channel fulfillment is. It's what I've seen is very affordable and scalable for your business. Okay. If we had 2 pill bottles or one type of pill and one of another type of pill, or 2 different cans of soda, Amazon will charge, it's not double the $8.57. Again, they charge you the pick fee for each unit they pick. And then the mass, they say if it's under 500, then it's still the $4.93. Okay, so a lot of different ways to look at that configuration. And I've added the website here for the MCF official. They have all the different examples and whatever not that you can look at to see if it makes sense for your business. Okay. Okay. Lastly, what's next? Okay. So from an Amazon perspective, certainly Amazon's not going anywhere. They're here to stay, and they're becoming a much more important part of the kind of shopper journey, whether it's people who shop in store with their phone in their hand, like I do. I'm checking for, hey, is it cheaper on Amazon versus me buying it at Sobeys here or not? If I need it right away, of course, I'll buy it from Sobeys, but I'm like, oh, I can wait to save $2. Sure, I'll wait, right? And so Amazon is an important channel to be considering. How you use it is up to you, whether it's through a profit channel where we really want to drive profitability, or if it's a marketing channel where we just don't want to lose money, right? And there's very different approaches we would use across both of those. You need to know your fees. We talked about profitability a lot at the beginning, but I have to stress this enough is like, if you don't know your fees, if you don't know your costs, you can end up losing money and not realize it. Okay, and that's where the configuration can really help. You save money by getting those 3-packs or 2-packs, multi-packs. And then again, being smart by changing the configuration so you ship it like this rather than like that. Okay. Amazon's also, they tend to miscalculate fees sometimes. Of course, it's a mistake, but you got to keep an eye on it to make sure that it's true. It's just like working with any wholesaler, any company. I've done business with a lot of them, and all of them have, they can't count it incoming. They find damage that's not there, all the usual stuff, taxes. Okay. Differentiate your listing catalog on the platform, invest in keyword research. There's tools that are out there. You can buy them. You could pay $50, get the tool yourself for a month and use it. Helium 10, Jungle Scout, great tools. Okay. Professional copywriting. We do a lot of copywriting. A lot of people who are doing copywriting, you can get marketing students to do copywriting, whatever makes sense so that it's true to your brand, true to your style guidelines, and communicates what your uniqueness is. The PPC, what I tell people is like, go slow. Okay. I may say I need $500 to kind of work my way to start this thing up, but that 500 can turn into 5,000 if you're not careful. Okay. And so we want to be building return on ad spend. We want to be building momentum and realizing that it's usually going to take 3 to 6 months to gain traction. Okay. 6 months if I don't have a brand that people recognize, 3 months if I do. And the reason for that is we have to kind of work our way up the rankings. We're buying placements. Okay. We got to see those reviews come in. And so there's a time that it takes for those things. When you go to the States, I say it's $1,000 for ads. Okay. And the reason is it's a lot more competitive. There's a lot more players in that marketplace, and it's USD, right? So you got to be mindful of that with the 30% conversion rate that we have to deal with right now. Okay. But again, minimum $500. I have some clients where we have like 12 flavors of the same thing. And so like I usually say, okay, we need a bit more than 500 to start. But if you've got, 3 flavors of something like that milk powder, milk oat powder that I was showing you, $500 is a good way to start, prime the pump, and go from there. We have accounts that we run. I have one, we do $50,000 a month in ad spend. And I have a whole bunch that are 250, 500. It all depends on the budget that they have, and it affects the ad campaign strategy. Lastly, funneling traffic from off Amazon to your listing page and the storefront. Okay. This is something that not enough people are doing. When we do it, if the client has budget to be able to send some of that traffic, et cetera, we see the amplification. Okay. There's definitely some short-term margin issues. Okay. So because I'm paying for the traffic and I'm paying Amazon for their referral fees, et cetera. But it's like, how do we start that system, get the pump primed, get it moving, and then we can dial off on the digital funneling because the system is now running on its own. Okay. But it's kind of managing and monitoring that. That's a real important part of being successful on Amazon. You got to get the flywheel started. And the only way to start the flywheel is either a whole lot of people pushing or a whole lot of money that you're burning. Okay. So you pick, but we can figure that out. Okay. A lot of stuff. 1:22 my time, 2:22 your time. I thank you all for sticking around, listening. And certainly if there are any questions about your particular brand, is it appropriate for Amazon? There's a link in the presentation. The QR code here will get you in touch with me as well. But feel free to reach out, ask questions. Happy to share my time and just see if it's an opportunity for you, because I want to make sure that if you're going to go on Amazon, you got a better chance of success.